20 minutes' time, we're going to go to our, we're not calling it a panel discussion, we're calling it our Market Leaders Academy. There is the dawning of a new era when it comes to project funding, and Chris Seymour of Mott MacDonald is going to lead that discussion. Before that, though, mega projects, in particular, innovative solutions in mega projects. To deliver this presentation, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Vice President and also Director of Master Planning and Architecture at Parsons, John Achari. John, join us, please.
Thanks, Richard. And mega projects. Well, I had 100 slides, but Richard said to reduce it to about 10. So I'll have to reduce the mega projects to a succinct and hopefully interesting journey. Mega projects is not new. Parsons, we've been in this region for over 40 years, and we've been involved in a number of projects, both in Dubai and the MENA region, Saudi in particular as well. And these mega projects is something which I think has transformed itself over the years. They're not new in this region, they're the norm. But more recently, mega projects have become quite different. You know, there's been a paradigm shift in how we perceive mega projects. It was good to hear some of the earlier speakers talk about innovation, healthy cities, and lifestyle, because mega projects nowadays are more about communities. And this is something that we believe quite strongly in, that cities are no longer the cities that we used to know. They need to cater for a different kind of citizen, people who are more interested in lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, community living, as well as something which they can leave for as a legacy for generations to come. This is something which also is supported by our own Dubai 2020 and 2021 vision, which focuses on innovation. And similarly in Saudi, there's a strong desire to concentrate on cities that are more sustainable, as well as catering for its communities. What is a mega project? I mean, for many years, mega projects were known to be over $1 million. Now, that's no longer the case in this part of the region, because $1 million is really not going to buy you, $1 billion is not going to buy you much in terms of facilities. So mega projects is something which is more significant in terms of its content. It involves a number of public institutions, and we know that PPP is big in this region, although it hasn't quite taken off as we'd expected. And the risks are quite high. But more importantly, I think for us, mega projects is something which is transformational. It doesn't have to be big, but it can be something which changes lifestyle, that helps to support and to sustain a different kind of living. So I've got some examples where you'll see that it doesn't have to be thousands of units of residential units, but it can be something which is what we call soft infrastructure. The aspirations of mega projects, they're community-based, seem to have lost it, building for the 21st century and beyond, and also integrated. So it's state-of-the-art amenities. You know, what do we need? And Kate from Well talked about providing enough facilities for people to walk, for facilities, schools, hospitals, and state-of-the-art amenities that are not just conventional, but something which also caters for changing needs. You know. New features, new designs that improve overall quality of life. And we know that we've seen the previous speaker talk about IMA. IMA is probably one of the innovators of how we create communities in terms of you start off with a park, you start off with a school, you don't just build residential units. So that gives you an impetus as to how we can create communities as well. A lot of developers nowadays are also looking at point of difference. What are the differentiators? And differentiators are not necessarily in whether you do 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, but what else goes with it, the soft infrastructure. Investment in transportation, non-motorized, these are all parts of what we consider to be new development opportunities. Smart infrastructure, Dubai is the leader in anything new. We've got autonomous vehicles, as well as sustainable initiatives through BREEAM, Astidama, and various other initiatives. Urban farming is one of my favorite topics. We are not advancing much of this at the moment, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for that. Planting trees is not the only way of creating sustainable environment as well as making it beautiful. Beauty can be in a number of ways, but I think being able to provide functional landscape is an important part of cities. Our experience is diverse. We've been involved in several projects like this in the region, whether it's to do with roads and infrastructure that you well know that Parsons does, or more recently in large-scale urban developments. And just so you have an understanding of what we do, I've got a few examples that shows a number of different types of approaches to megacities or mega projects. This is a project that we recently worked on in Saudi. It's not so much the project itself, but what we were able to achieve in convincing both the community as well as the government that this is something which is important. It's not just about putting residential units. This is a large-scale project. It's in northern Riyadh, about 38 million square meters, one of the largest projects in the kingdom. If you look at its size, it dwarfs Paris, dwarfs downtown, and it's 72,000 units, quite large. But more importantly, what we tried to do was create a healthy environment. 20 kilometers of jogging, 13 kilometers of cycling and walking, as well as a number of parks. I think we had an example before of a project in Dubai, which is about 6 football fields. We think we're trying to achieve about 24 football fields of parks in this space, which is unusual in this environment. And I agree with the gentleman previously about 10 kilometers or 10,000 steps a day to achieve at least some kind of healthy lifestyle. It's important that you not just provide spaces for walking, but also a number of different kinds of activities. Mosque, obviously, community facilities, but this is something quite important. A lot of times what we find is projects tend to compromise on facilities, schools, parks, and other kinds of soft infrastructure. It's the point of difference that all of this development needs to provide. It's important that we have a range of facilities rather than just saying, okay, we'll do a large-scale development with residential units, hospitals, schools, and again, parks. Parks can be diverse. It doesn't have to be just a particular type. It can be a range of different types of neighborhood parks. Medical campus. As you know, this part of the region is very much entrenched in sports and recreation, as well as a number of different kinds of activities. So what we're proposing in different kinds of environment is academic institutions that work with the open space areas as well as educational facilities. Equestrian is very big in this region as well. So how do we make environments that help or at least build on what is common in this region? And smart infrastructure, smart transportation systems. This is something which is very common now, and and we think that we're constantly following new technology. Technology is also something which is shaping the way we perceive large projects, and we are constantly looking at different ways of how to incorporate this in different projects. Every project has a big mall, and it's no different in Saudi or in this part of the world. Another example is not something which is very exciting, but again, it is an approach to mega projects. The Dubai strategic sewerage tunnels. It's an important part of infrastructure in this part of the world. We're constantly improving our infrastructure. So this is one of the things that we feel is something which helps to increase value within this community. Soft infrastructure. The cycle network in Dubai, now we don't think about mega projects being jogging tracks or cycle tracks, but this is one of the most important things about cities and lifestyle, is how do we increase healthy lifestyle? And this Dubai cycle network that the RTA and the municipality is embarking on is one of the most significant things that's going to help us in creating healthy cities in Dubai. Saadiyat, many years ago, the thing that was most common about development was what called triple bottom line, environmental sustainable design. Then came the quadruple bottom line, culture. And Middle East and Dubai and UAE, Abu Dhabi in particular, is very much in the forefront of how we look at new cities and new technology and new ideas on how to create environment for citizens. And Saadiyat Island is one of the most interesting and probably the most innovative approach to how we are transforming our communities and transforming cities and how we perceive environments as well. And this, on 11/11 this year, the Louvre will be open, and there'll be another benchmark in how we see our whole, how cities are changing. Expo, we heard a lot about Expo. The thing about Expo is also it's very similar to the Olympic Games. It's not soft, but it's something which is a legacy development that's going to help transform. And it was interesting to see District 2020 is something which is a legacy development that, in the same way that London transformed itself, in the same way that Dubai South is going to create a new city, which is quite important. And how do we develop mega projects? Well, that's not very difficult because there's so many changes that are happening constantly, new technologies and new ideas. And again, the use of technology is very important, but most importantly is how we interact and how we engage with communities. Because we can be designing projects on a desktop, but without understanding who the users are and how people are going to change. Because constantly, as in Dubai, new ideas are coming through, new peoples are coming through. You got so many different cultural groups in this environment, and we constantly have to be challenged to provide facilities, provide new opportunities and new environments so people can feel comfortable and not feel that they're being imposed upon. And I like the line that Kate from, I think, World talked about what Winston Churchill said. It's the cities that will eventually shape us. So it's important that we leave a legacy that we can be proud of and not just be able to design a place that nobody's going to be enjoying. Because the cities are important for legacy, and it's not just for today, but for generations to come. I mean, we're constantly changing how Dubai was built 20 years ago, and in 20 years' time, what we have now will be changing as well. And I think it's quite important to think about the social infrastructure that's going to help shape our country, our environment as well. So thank you for that.
Just one very quick question. I've got a question, but I'm happy to give my question to someone on the floor. Who would like? Yes, right at the back of the room. Thank you, sir. I can see your hand raised there. Microphone is on its way to you. Thank you.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for your great presentation. I would like to ask about the challenge now about BIM technology and make a database for a mega project or an entire city. BIM technology, with BIM technology that you talked about. Again?
I didn't get that.
Okay, could you repeat the question?
What is the challenge now to make a database for a mega project or an entire city with BIM technology?
What is the challenge of new technology in mega projects now? I think the biggest challenge is our ability to understand the technology that's available that can help us in creating new cities as well. I think that's one of the biggest challenges because technology is changing rapidly. Now, what we knew yesterday or today is going to be yesterday's news. So the challenge is being able to apply the technology to our thinking. So.
Thank you.
I know that's one of the challenges Expo had in designing some of the technologies. They don't know what the best technology in 2020 will be
right.
for example, managing crowds.
That's
They've got to
right.
accept that something will come along that they don't know yet. John, great talking to you. Thanks very much indeed for your time. I appreciate it.